Hey guys, just a quick video here on how to solve a issue by previous repair tech. As you know, on our last video I had mentioned that somebody had been in this radio definitely before and playing around with it, and I found that on two bands the receiver was way down. So I decided to go to the coil packs and start adjusting, and this is what I found. So I also had asked about videos in the last video on the TS530, and some of you have suggested just some short videos. So I figured what I would do. Is I'll keep doing my main complete repair videos like I've been doing, but from time to time I'm going to throw in some little short videos, and this is one of them. So looking here at the center section, we see this top coil over here right next to the variable capacitor, and I'm hoping y'all can see that, but that adjustment slug is pushed all the way to the bottom. And usually what happens is someone has used the wrong tool to adjust that core, and if you use a metal tool and you put it in there, and they have pushed it all the way to the bottom. Also, over here on the front, we can see this coil right there is the same way. They have pushed that slug all the way to the bottom, and you just can't screw it out. It's pushed so far down that it's out of the threads. So there's only one way to fix this. So bottom side of the radio, once again with the AF bore port, we can see that coil, the first one I showed you, is right here. So we'll need to desolder this and take this coil out. So I'm just going to freshen up the solder joints, take my desoldering tool, and desolder these pins. So with that desoldered, we should be able to take our needle nose pliers and pull this coil form right out. And here's the good thing: when you turn it down, you can see the other side of the slug. So what I'll use is this is an ink pen that has a piece of hardwood in the end of it and filed so it fits these slugs. And as you see, I'm able to screw the coil completely back out. So now that we have our tuning slug back out, and you reinstall it, and then you can screw it back in, put it back in the radio, and should be able to tune it right. Well, you get somebody, I did that. As soon as I put the tuning tool in, it went back to the bottom. Well, that could be the case. So what is going on with that? Well, there's several different things. You got to remember, these things are old. They get in a lot of heat, and the center form, the threads kind of deformed, and the slug doesn't make good contacts. Or you get to the point where someone has tuned and tuned and tuned on it so much that they wore the thread completely out of it, so the slug doesn't stay in place. So how do you fix that? You go in the house and you grab some of your wife's sewing thread. Take a candle and just run some of this through that wax. And now you got a wax coated string. You can place this inside depending on how bad the threads are. Most of the time one piece of thread will take care of it. Sometimes you might need to put 2 strands through it, but that will usually take care of the problem right there. I've seen people put wax, melt wax in it and tune it. That's fine if you want it to be permanent, but let me tell you what happens there. Sometimes wax can just jam it up so tight that you'll actually break that slug trying to get it out. The next thing it do, that wax is hot dripping down in there, it can deform this former, and you don't want that to happen. You'll see cases when someone has CB radios, you'll find wax in these RF tuning transformers. That's fine on those. Those are big enough, and the material that it's made out of, the hot wax, is not going to bother those. As you can see, this one actually has a piece of rubber band in it to help hold it in place. Those little transformers we're working on, rubber band is just too big for that. But on the bigger coils, yeah, you can put wax or a rubber band in those. It won't bother those at all. Now that that's taken care of, we can cut the strings on this, reinstall it, put it back in the radio, and be able to tune it. Well guys, how you like this when you're trying to solve one problem and then another problem just pops up that you haven't seen on something before? This radio is full of surprises. I turned it on, was going to align those coils, and no display. The digital display did not fire up, so I started checking, make sure I didn't leave a connector loose or something, and I come all the way down to the rectifier board, and let me show you this. So on the other side of this board are some rectifier diodes, and you see that right there at the end of my finger? Yeah, they're completely loose. And I'm looking at this, and there's several areas on this board that is like that. Now this would probably then, when I went to do the recap, the radio, there's several caps on here that has to be replaced. Inspect those boards and look for things like this. This one just caught us offhand. Now when you're resoldering connectors like this, you're best to suck the old solder off and then put fresh solder on it. Alright guys, since that other little glitch is fixed, I want to go ahead and just tune up those 2 bands that the coils would bottom out on. Now later on, after this is recapped, I'm going to do a complete alignment on this, but just to get the radio back up where it should be, I want to go ahead and align those 2 coils. So if we look here at our sheet, this is from the service manual adjustments, and we look here at the RF board, we can see the 18 megahertz coil here for antenna, 18 megahertz coil here for RF, and then the 18 megahertz coil for drive. And then for the 40 meter coil, we can see the 40 meter coil here for antenna, 40 meter coil here for RF, and then 40 meter coil here for drive. We want to go ahead and tune these up and get this radio at least back where it should be. So all we got to do is make sure our SG switch on the back of the radio is in the off position. I've already got the radio on, warming up. We'll put it on the 40 meter band. And our adjustment page tells us for 7 megahertz, 40 meters, that we want a display reading of 7.15. So I'll tune it to 7.15. what I like about these radios is that your test equipment is basically built into the radio. All we need for this is our S meter and our marker generator. We'll set the frequency at 7.15. We'll put our meter to ALC and our mode switch to CW. Again, make sure the SG switch is off. So we'll turn the volume up. We'll turn our marker on. We'll peak the VFO out. We'll peak our drive out. And all I'm doing is looking at the S meter. And now we can tune the antenna, RF, and then we'll get into the drive. Okay, we don't even have to have the volume up. So I'll go to the antenna section. That's pretty much peaked there. We'll go to the RF section. Now this is the core that we had to bring back to the top. And there it is, over 9. Now to set the drive, all we're going to do is just going to leave the marker alone. We're not even going to touch it. Like I say, the SG switch is off. We're going to flip the send button and tune the coil for the driver. And that's all it takes. So now we know that when we go to 40 meters and we peak this drive, we now have the transmitter and the receiver peaked for best performance. On the same thing, sometimes you'll get a radio like this and you'll get the transmitter set up, but if you notice, if you turn the drive, the receiver will come up, and that's because those are not aligned correctly. Now we'll do the same thing for 18 megahertz. So this time we'll go to 18. We'll set our frequency for 18125. We'll bring our tone up. Now you see it's setting at 18.123.5. Don't worry about that. It's close enough. We'll hit our drive. We'll peak it up. When we go through the full alignment, that'll take care of that display being off. So now we can go to 18. That's where our coil was out of whack, that we had to repair for the 18 megahertz band. You see it came up pretty good. Okay, now I'll go to the RF section. That's peaked pretty good. Now let me grab my other. We'll go to send. And this now peaked out. So guys, that's how simple it is to do that. There's no problems at all. We cut the marker off, so the needle falls back to 0. So we got that part taken care of. So I'll go ahead and get some capacitors ordered up for this thing, and we'll go ahead and get those replaced now that I'm liking the way the radio is acting, and I think that's going to help get this thing up and going. I just want to give you this quick little tip on fixing those coils that's or bottom out, and that way you can tune it without having to worry about them falling back down to the bottom again. Like I say, most of the time people just use the wrong tool to tune those coils, and don't use anything metal. As you say, I'm just using this is an old ink pen, has a piece of oak wood in it that's been filed and then covered in epoxy so it hardens, and then sand it down smooth so that it fits the coil. That helps a lot. For the bigger coils in the back, I'm using this old ceramic tip type of tuning stick, and I used to get these when I worked for Johnson, but I haven't found a good source of these, so I need to find some more. I like to find some that of this size and some more of these, so I got to look around and see if I can find them. So guys, I hope this tip was educational for you. Like I say, it can be a pain sometimes getting them little things fixed. Luckily, with the problems we had, we didn't have to pull the RF board out yet. We don't know what'll come in the future. Luckily, another good thing is that there's no electrolytic caps on there that we have to worry about replacing, so we shouldn't have to go back to the bottom of that, not unless there's some other problems. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.